Imagine wearing a dress so wide you can't fit through doorways. Then imagine needing to use the bathroom in that dress. Victorian women face this challenge every single day. Their secret toilet routine was way more complicated than you think. Victorian women wore absolutely enormous dresses. These weren't just big dresses. They were architectural marvels of fabric and steel. The typical Victorian dress could be 8 feet wide. That's wider than most doorways today. The skirts had multiple layers of petticoats underneath. Some dresses weighed over 20 pounds. Just imagine carrying that weight around all day. Think about the last time you wore a bulky winter coat. Remember how awkward it felt sitting down or moving around? Now multiply that feeling by 10. Victorian women lived in that discomfort every waking moment. The dresses weren't just wide at the bottom. They had tight corsets that squeezed their waists. These corsets made breathing difficult. They also made bending over nearly impossible. Simple movements became major challenges. Getting through a standard door required careful planning. Women had to turn sideways and shuffle through slowly. Sometimes they needed help from servants or family members. Going upstairs meant lifting heavy skirts with both hands. The bathroom situation was even more complicated. Most Victorian homes had outdoor privies. That meant walking across yards in these massive dresses. Rain and mud made the journey treacherous. Wind could turn the wide skirts into sails. Indoor bathrooms were rare and only for the wealthy. Even then, the small spaces weren't designed for huge dresses. The bathroom stalls we know today didn't exist. Privacy was limited and space was tight. Victorian women couldn't just rush to the bathroom either. Every bathroom trip required serious preparation and planning. They needed extra time for the complicated process ahead. Quick bathroom breaks simply weren't possible. Have you ever tried to do something simple while wearing awkward clothing? How do you think Victorian women managed their daily bathroom needs? Victorian women didn't wear simple underwear like we do today. They wore an elaborate system of undergarments. Each piece served a specific purpose in the bathroom routine. The bottom layer was called a chemise or shift. This was a long, loose cotton dress. It absorbed sweat and protected the skin from rough fabrics. The chemise was the only thing that touched their bodies directly. Over the chemise came the corset. This tight garment shaped their waist and pushed up their chest. The corset had metal stays that made bending impossible. It laced up the back with dozens of hooks and ties. Next came the bustle or crinoline cage. This was the most important piece for bathroom visits. The cage was made of steel hoops and fabric. It created the wide, bell-shaped silhouette everyone recognizes today. Here's the clever part. The cage had a special design feature. It could fold up and out of the way when needed. The steel hoops were connected with hinges and springs. When a woman sat down, the back hoops folded upward automatically. Think about how an umbrella folds up when you're not using it. The Victorian cage worked similarly. The woman could lift the front hoops and let the back ones collapse. This created a clear path for bathroom activities. The final layer was drawers or pantaloons. These were split down the middle with an open crotch. This design was essential for bathroom use. Closed underwear would have made the process nearly impossible with all those layers. Modern shapewear is complicated enough to put on and take off. Imagine dealing with 5 separate layers of complex undergarments. Each piece had to be arranged perfectly to work together smoothly. The whole system took practice to master efficiently. Young girls spent years learning the proper techniques from their mothers. Getting dressed took at least 30 minutes, even with help. Can you imagine spending half an hour just getting dressed every morning? Using the bathroom in Victorian dress was like performing a magic trick. It required skill, patience, and sometimes an assistant to help out. First, the woman had to gather her enormous skirts carefully. She couldn't just lift them like a modern dress. The layers were too heavy and too wide for one person. She had to bunch them up section by section. The chemise and drawers had to be arranged properly too. Remember, the drawers were open in the middle for this reason. But all the fabric still needed to be moved aside. Getting everything positioned right took several minutes of careful work. Think about trying to organize a huge pile of blankets and sheets. Now imagine doing that while standing in a tiny, cramped space. That's what Victorian women dealt with every bathroom visit. The actual sitting process was incredibly difficult. The corset made it impossible to bend at the waist. Women had to keep their backs perfectly straight while bending down. This required strong leg muscles and perfect balance. The cage bustles help by folding up automatically when sitting, but it also created new problems. The collapsed hoops pushed against the woman's back and sides. The steel springs could pinch skin or catch on fabric. Privacy was always a major concern, too. Outdoor privies had thin walls and poor locks. Other family members often waited impatiently outside the door. The lengthy process meant long lines and frustrated relatives. Wealthy women sometimes used chamber pots in their bedrooms instead. But this created different challenges. The pots had to be emptied by servants. The smell lingered in living spaces. Spills and accidents were embarrassing disasters. Some Victorian women learned shortcuts to speed up the process. They practiced special techniques for gathering skirts efficiently. Others wore slightly modified underwear that was easier to manage quickly. The most experienced ladies could complete the whole routine in under 5 minutes. But beginners often took 15 minutes or longer for each bathroom visit. Have you ever been frustrated by complicated clothing during an urgent bathroom moment? Victorian society had strict rules about bathroom behavior. These social expectations made an already difficult process even more complicated and stressful. Ladies were never supposed to mention bathroom needs in public conversation. Saying "I need to use the toilet" was considered extremely rude. Instead, they used polite phrases like, "I need to powder my nose," or "I must retire for a moment." This created real problems during social events and long outings. Women couldn't ask for directions to the bathroom directly. They had to hint around the subject delicately. Hosts were expected to understand these subtle hints without explanation. Imagine being at a party where you can't directly ask for help. You have to use secret code words and hope people understand. That's exactly what Victorian women experienced every day. The bathroom process itself had to be completely silent too. Making any noise was considered deeply shameful. Women learned special techniques to minimize sound during their visits. They moved very slowly and carefully to avoid rustling fabric. Long dresses helped hide bathroom-related activities from public view. But they also made the social pressure worse. If a woman took too long, everyone noticed her absence. People would start whispering and making assumptions about her situation. Victorian women often avoided drinking fluids during social events. This reduced their bathroom needs, but caused other health problems. Dehydration was common, especially during hot weather or long church services. Some social events lasted for hours without bathroom breaks planned. Garden parties, church services, and formal dinners could go on endlessly. Women had to plan their fluid intake days. The wealthy sometimes hired ladies' maids specifically to help with bathroom visits. These assistants knew all the tricks for managing complicated dresses quickly. Having professional help was a major status symbol. Working-class women didn't have this luxury. They had to master the techniques themselves or ask female relatives for assistance. Factory workers often had to choose between bathroom breaks and losing pay. Would you be able to follow all these complicated social rules about something so basic? Victorian women turned bathroom visits into elaborate daily performances. They mastered complex underwear systems, developed special techniques for massive dresses, and followed strict social rules about privacy. Their secret routine required planning, practice, and often assistance from others. Next time you complain about modern clothing, remember these ladies and their incredible daily challenges. What surprised you most about Victorian bathroom routines? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating history.